and from Anneliese's Creations, I thought I would show you this video in real time because parts of it are missing and I have to apologize for that. My camera kept shutting down and yeah, so it wasn't a lot of fun. So anyways, I didn't have black gesso, so I started out with black paint. When you don't have black gesso, use black paint. And then I used some white paint instead of white gesso. And yeah, and so it said to place it, put white gesso down, but it didn't say specifically how, so I took the liberty of using a stencil. And so I'm just blotting, tapping it down with a makeup sponge. I like using makeup sponges better than I do a stencil brush. I think it goes on a little bit better, the paint. So yeah, so that's why I use a makeup sponge. I think it works better for blending as well. When you want to blend some paints together, I think a makeup sponge works better than a paintbrush. So anyhow, and on to the next step. So it says to turn the page upside down. So that's what I'm doing. I'm turning the page upside down. Now that it's upside down, the next step is to use 3 different paint colors for the background. And that's where I lost the footage. You will see around the edges of those stencils that I did, there is the paint. So yeah, so I have to apologize for that. Then it says to draw a focal image. So I just decided to trace around one of the stencil shapes that I had already put onto the page. And I really wasn't feeling these prompts this week. I just couldn't think outside the box this week and be really creative. I just wasn't feeling it. You know how sometimes when you have to do some art or you want to do some art but you're not feeling it, so you just go with the flow? And yeah, this is the what I'm coming up with. I couldn't think of anything else at the time, so yeah, so I just had to roll with it. So it's, I'm trying to figure out where all the shapes were because this area got a little bit muddled up. So it was hard to determine where the petals to this shape was. So I'm just kind of guessing. And I just did the one shape. I didn't do the others. I just figured that was enough, and then, go on to the next step. And my mic's pretty sensitive, so I'm wondering if you'll hear one of my dogs sleeping by my art room door. It'll be interesting if this shit comes up on the voiceover. So voila, that one's done. Yay! And the next step, use a spatula to create texture. Well, I don't have a spatula, so I have one, but it's dirty at the moment. So I went ahead and used a plastic knife, and I used the serrated side to kind of make scrape marks. Unfortunately, the camera's not really picking up those scrape marks, but they're there. So I'm just like scraping on or spreading on some paint, almost like you would spread on butter on your toast in the morning. Notice I haven't had breakfast yet. It's fairly early in the morning, and I figured I'd had to do this voiceover before things get too loud in my household. My dogs bark and the outdoor noises get picked up by my microphone. They're doing some construction down on the other end of the park that's next to my house. I don't know what they've been doing, but they've been up to something. I think they're changing out the pipes or something, but there's been a lot of work going on, and the construction vehicles make a lot of noise and the beeping sounds when they back up, So yeah, so I went ahead and scraped a couple of colors on. I think I used my quinacridone magenta, and then I used a light gray. And then the next step, it said to put a word, and that's what I did. And so the very last step, well, one of the steps was to put a word, which I showed you, but I didn't put the step. And another one was to take a fine liner and create a border. Create a border. Well, I don't have a fine liner. Well, I have one, but it's filled with something else. So I took some puff paints and created a border with that. And then after that, the very, very last step was to share with 5 people. Well, those 5 people are all of you watching. So thanks again for watching. I hope that you like what you saw and that you'll come back. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like what you see. Comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And I shall see you next time. Bye. Toodles. Have a wonderful day.